welcome to another edition of the Dugout Talk with the Downs Bros. I am Tony Downs. This is my little brother. I know.
What up?
And we have a special guest today. Her name is Alyssa
Burke.
I almost said Burke. Um, a little stud muffin, you guys. I can't wait to have Tommy introduce you. I've had the pleasure of talking to you just a little bit, right? When you're in season or whatever, walking you off the cliff. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway,
Couple times.
problem solving 101. But anyway, she's a stud. I'm so glad to have you on here. Tommy, go ahead and give her this introduction she deserves.
All right. I'd like to introduce Alyssa Burke. She is a 3-time All-Conference GPAC player, also a 4 times record holder, and she has the career hits, career runs, career stolen bases, single season stolen bases. Also was an All-American in 2024.
Hey,
On top of all that,
hold on real quick. Didn't she play for you?
she did play
Why
for
are you
you.
reading that off not knowing this?
I was gonna end with that, but I mean, thanks, bro. I appreciate you interviewing that. And
All right, finish it up because I know you're not done.
Anyway, what I was going to say before I was rudely interrupted by my older brother, she is a D-Dub lifetime batting average of 354, top 3 ever in the program history, and obviously she played for me for 2 years.
Know that?
I didn't know that.
Woo!
There you go. Welcome, Alyssa Burke.
Alyssa,
That's cool. Wow.
God.
When did you know that? How long have you known that?
Oh, I dug that up a while ago.
Of course you did. Of course.
So that's pretty cool. I mean, honestly.
Yeah, it is cool.
I mean, here's the thing. One thing that, I taught my son Casey, he's such a humble guy. I mean, humble guy. When he does hitting instruction, he's doing this, he would never talk about himself. He was a stud, right? And he's kind of learned now with the years that, listen, that's what you accomplished. You cannot be embarrassed about your accomplishments because not a lot of people have those accomplishments. And you and I talked about this a little bit earlier, that listen, this is your path. You had a great path. You did a lot of great things that a lot of athletes wished they would have done a half or a quarter of what you did, right? So don't be embarrassed about it. Lean in, and you deserve it. You deserve everything. So, smile and accept that, and you're a stud, man. You are a freaking.
It's funny, Tony. Her and I had this conversation at the end of her senior year because Alyssa does have 4 records at D-Dub. She was also a player of the year in South Dakota in her last year of ball. So she's had a lot of accomplishments. And sometimes it's hard to be, to talk about yourself like that. And Alyssa was definitely that way, correct?
Well, listen, as athletes, we're taught early on to show it on the field, not with our mouth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where that comes from. And there's nothing wrong with that. But now you've accomplished it. And a lot of people say, like I said, they wish they had one record broke,
Yeah, I think a big part of it is like to get to like having success, you have to kind of, in a sense, feel not obviously to a certain extent this is bad, but you always feel like you're never enough and like you're never doing enough. And so even when you get those things, you kind of like you accomplish them and you're like, okay, like that's it, now what? And so like you never actually get to like relish in the and embrace how awesome it is that you do those things. And now I've kind of like been able to step away and be like, that's actually pretty cool. Like I have those things and like nobody can ever take that away from me that I did accomplish those things. People might break those records, but at one point I did have them. And like you're kind of setting the standard. And also another thing, like if people do break them, like you set the standard and like you help them achieve that in a way too, because they were trying to break your record. Absolutely. So it's kind of nice to be able to think about it like that.
Everybody should be trying to break the records. And I don't mean like breaking records like most practice miss. Different kind of record. We don't want that, right? But I mean, you've had those are some legit records, man. And I think Tommy left something else out too. Didn't you get like player of the year or Hall of Fame of the year or something?
That's what I was just talking about earlier. She was
I got Rapid City College Athlete of the Year from my hometown. Yeah, which was cool. And I got it when I was in high school. I was a what's the word? I can't even think. I was a finalist for High School Athlete of the Year and I didn't win it. So it's cool that I got College Athlete of the Year. So it's fun.
Yeah, I'll take,
so it's cool.
College athlete over the high school athlete.
Yeah, I think that's cooler too.
That definitely trumps for sure.
Yeah, a little bit. I think so.
So we have some questions for you, but you know what though, Alyssa, Tommy and I we're really starting to put more athletes on here just because I think a lot of the kids can really relate to you guys, you know.
Hmm.
And of course we have a lot of college coaches, and we have ex like NFL players, baseball players, Hall of Fame softball players. I mean, we've had quite the gamut. We've been pretty fortunate to have guests that we've had on here, but we want to mix it up because
Hmm.
little dugout talk thing is dugout talk, and not a lot of it can be said because
Hmm.
it's like Vegas. What happens in Vegas stays. Sometimes what happens in the dugout stays in the dugout, right? Um, but there is some stuff that we want to share with the parents, right? And this is
Hmm.
some of the stuff that's why you're on here because one, you're not from the West Coast. I love that, right? We've had a lot of the West Coast people on here. You're from the
Hmm.
Midwest,
I
correct?
am.
Right?
Yes.
So
Born and raised.
we have born and raised. So we're going to get a different perspective. And these kids that live out in the Midwest, listen, east of the Colorado Rockies, 85% of the schools are east of Colorado.
Yeah, it's
That's
absolutely
wild.
a different lifestyle. Even like hearing Tommy talk about like, and even like I'll have friends from the West Coast and they just talk about how different it is, and it's just so crazy to hear like their life was just completely different than mine growing up.
Crazy, right? It's just
Yeah, not even just at like athletically wise, like just the whole entire like
Oh,
Reagan went to
absolutely.
school and she walked to and from her classes outside. I was like, we couldn't. It was -40 out here. We couldn't do that.
you probably don't want to say that too loud because Tommy's still trying to recruit. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, it's fine. It's for like a couple days.
That was more, yeah, but she's more west of where they can do
It
that.
builds character. It builds character.
I
Yeah.
do have one question for you, Alyssa, before Tony and I hammer you with
Yeah.
questions.
Hmm.
Oh, hammer
So
you.
let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Truly, how did you feel that first game coming out watching us in the fall? What was your feelings you had there?
Yeah.
Actually
Um,
there.
I was really excited to see it and like I kind of so I think I don't want to make a generalization, but I think a lot of athletes when they get to the point where they know they're going to be done soon and like your body starts failing you and like not that I'm like old, but like in the game I was old. And so like your body just starts to hurt and you just like mentally you're like, man, I just like you can see like there's like this you think there's this imaginary bright light that everything's going to be better when you don't play anymore because you're in the thick of it. And so when I got done, it was like, okay, I can finally relax, except then I was like, oh man, that kind of sucks. Like now what do I do? And so now like I've run a 5K and I've done those things. So I like find like you always said that you'd find a competitive outlet, and I just hate that I proved you right. But just like
I
no,
hate
and
that
you
too. Dang it.
yeah
It sucks, doesn't
yeah
it?
yeah, and then you just like find things that like bring that fire again, and it'll never be the same. But I was excited to see like some of my best friends play, but it was so strange because I like want to know every little thing that's going on. I'm like, what plays are you calling? What are you doing? Like all of these things, and like I'll even call them after like practice. I'll be like, oh, how's it going? Like what's the deal? And like things will be different. And I'm like, well, even like I went and the freshmen they didn't even know my name, and I was like, excuse me, you're supposed to know
Excuse
who
me.
I
Up
am.
the record
What are you
books.
talking about?
But I not know my name.
Like you don't know, not like in a boastful way, but I was like I've been a part of this for 4 years, like I
Yeah,
thought,
I know.
and it's just so
Yeah,
crazy that
yeah.
now
Like
that
you're
there's like
disassociated now, right?
yeah, there's like a fourth of the team that just doesn't even know that I ever existed. And so like that was like a hard realization, and it was sad because
So
I was like I feel like I had so many people around me to talk to all the time and about softball, and it was always fun, and you would see so many people, and now I just feel honestly kind of like lonely and isolated because I granted it was a little bit much to have 30 different females and their opinions and everything at the same time in one tiny little space, but it's definitely different now, and I think it's given me a different perspective. But being back was sad, but it was also kind of it was fun to be able to watch and like not get like throw up because I was so nervous before we played a game. So
are you
that was nice.
do you still live in you live in Mitchell or no?
So I live in Vermilion, which is 2 hours like southeast of
Okay.
Mitchell.
You can't
Yeah. So I
just go to a game or nothing like
yeah,
that.
and it's really close to they play a lot in Sioux City and Sioux Center, which is like 20-25 minutes away from where I live.
Oh, well, that's
Yeah.
well, I mean, if you're not in school or whatever, but so
Yeah.
normally we go right into the questions, but I want to talk to you a little bit about your injury. Okay,
Hmm.
something I wish I would have put in the questions, and now
Me too.
Well,
I
that's
should
fine.
myself.
That's fine.
and and if we have to kill some other questions, it's okay because there's something that Tommy and I haven't talked about yet, and
Hmm.
I think it's an important part of an athlete's path.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think
And
it's something that's not really talked about a lot. And so I think that's partly why people struggle with it so much.
yeah, and
So,
the mental. health piece of that. It's a
Mm-hmm.
mental game anyway. It's just
Mm-hmm.
a mind screw the whole time. And then to have that happen, and then I mean, you and I have had some
Yeah.
serious conversations about this. And so I wanted to, so you said something to me, right? And I kind of related it back to when I played too.
Mm-hmm.
And I was always healthy, man. And I played multiple sports, and so I was in great shape. And then, bam, something happened to me. I'm like, what the heck?
Mm-hmm.
I was always so healthy. It never happens at the right time. It never will,
Yeah.
right? It
Mm-hmm.
always happens at the wrong
Mm-hmm.
time. And
Yeah.
we as athletes don't want to admit that we're hurt.
Mm-hmm.
We're like, no, you're not taking me out of the freaking lineup. That's the winner in you, right? You're not taking me out of the lineup. I'm good. No, I'm all right. I think it's a twitch. I'm
Mm-hmm.
tight. My leg's tight. I'm good.
I'll
Yeah.
be fine tomorrow. I'll be
I
fine.
just need to drink some. I just need to drink some Gatorade. I'll be good.
I'm
Fine.
dehydrated.
Yeah.
So to go back,
Mm-hmm.
you hurt yourself. You
Mm-hmm.
did not admit or omit that you were hurt.
Well, she
Yeah.
did, just not.
As severe. Yeah. I wasn't completely truthful,
Okay.
which
So
is a lie if you think.
so now, not being truthful, do you think it hurt you? And I don't mean your mental health, but your physical health. Did it hurt
Absolutely.
for not getting the immediate treatment?
Yeah. So I, for the people that
So
don't know,
walk us,
yeah.
walk us,
Yeah.
walk us through what
Mm-hmm.
happened, how the injury happened, and
Yeah.
then let's talk about it.
Yeah, so start to like place where I was mentally. So I was really excited. My sophomore year had a great season. That's when I like broke all the records, and I for some reason I don't know what happened. I was eating the Wheaties every single morning, and I was doing super good. Junior year, I sprained my ankle, so that sent me back a couple games, and I just wasn't like it wasn't as spectacular as my sophomore year, but that's why it's called a record year for a reason. And then senior year, I was like, I really want to get back to this spot. I have these numbers that I really want to achieve. I have all these things I want to do. I work extra hard. I work extra hard in the off season. I do every single thing that I possibly can do. And we get to our first games of the season. And the first weekend of games, I was just running to first base like I normally did every probably over a million times in my life. And I just feel my hamstring just ball up and just pop, and I just face plant into the ground. And immediately I was like, I just ruined it. Like the entire thing. Like I just ruined every single dream that I had for the next 3.5 months is just like gone. And I just remember like lying on the turf, just like being like, I can't believe that this just happened. And I didn't really understand how severe it was going to be. I'd never really hurt my hamstring before. And then I would say it was definitely like a severe hamstring tear, but it wasn't as bad as it was when I kept playing. So I like rehabbed it. I had to take I think a weekend or two off of games, I think. So I missed like 6 or so games. And then I came back and I was just kind of like fibbing. But I honestly, I don't even think that I was purposely lying. I had convinced myself in my head that I was fine. And I don't even think that it was me being like, I'm going to lie to Tommy and the athletic trainers that I'm fine, even though I know I'm not. I literally had convinced myself that I was like, you're fine. This is fine. It happens. You have twinges, you have all these things. But when you tear a muscle and you have severe injuries like that, it's not the same as just pushing through a minor thing. And so it was one of those things where I never really let it fully heal. And then I remember I knew I wasn't playing where I wanted to because my body wasn't physically letting me. And I knew it. But I didn't want to admit it to myself. I was like, no, you're just sucking. Like you're just having an off week, you're having an off month, just figure it out. Just figure it out. And then we went to Florida and I played, but I remember I would stretch that thing like nobody's business. Like I swear, me and my heating pack were best friends. I would just have a heating pad on every single night. I would stretch it just like crazy. And then I remember um like Florida wasn't amazing for me, but it was fine. I was like, you know what, whatever, it's whatever. I get
Well, you
back.
did break a record there, though.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
Again, it was okay.
Yeah,
A record,
maybe I'm being extra
nothing
hard on
big,
myself. Maybe I'm
nothing
being extra
big.
hard on myself.
Was it
But
the
I
stolen
just
base record?
no, it was
Hits, hits,
yeah,
right?
career hits. Yeah, career hits
Hits.
or career runs, I think, something like that. And so I did that with the torn hamstring, so that was pretty cool. But when I think about it, but then I
But
get back, we land off the plane, and I go to shower. It was like 1 in the morning when we got back, and I'm like, what is going on? There's bruise. I should pull it. Hold on, let me pull it up. A giant bruise on my hamstring, just the size of Texas. It was just terrible. Let me find it.
Alyssa, why are you from? Ow.
Yeah.
Ouch, ouch.
You know, this was, and not. Let me just say this in Lissa's defense.
That's a low bruise too.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, it was
yeah.
bad.
Let me say this in Lissa's defense. Even though I knew she wasn't 100%, you know, this is what good athletes do. They still find a way to be competitive, and she was as good as most people. That's what's crazy, is that she was still as good as most people. Not that I'm condoning playing injured. I'm not. I'm
Don't do
just
it.
saying she was doing it, and I understand that maybe it would have been more, you know, a better
Mhm.
scenario for her to actually take some more time off, so she would have been closer to 100%. But definitely, yeah, we knew in Florida that there was a stopping point, because I remember
Yeah.
pulling you out of the game, and I
Yeah.
saw Niagara Falls.
Yeah, I was so furious. I was, I don't think I've ever been so
So
mad in my
those
life.
weren't
Do you
Frank's.
remember what you said to me?
What? I don't remember.
But you remember, you're like, well, what do I do? And I'm like, I
Oh,
need
yeah,
you to
I
get
know I
good.
said I was like, what did I do? Like, are you pissed at
Yeah.
me? Like, are you mad? Do you hate me now? I was like, what did I do? And it wasn't and like then I think the hardest part is like when you can't physically like be your best. Not even obviously it's tough. Like when you when you're not injured and you're not doing your best, you're like, oh, what am I doing? Like, what's going on? Especially because it's such a fallible sport. But when you're injured, you especially have so little control over what's going on. And I think what's hardest for me is like my entire game was speed. And that's all I did. I would hit the ball and I would run really fast. And so I had to like completely change my game when I was 21 years old and I'd slapped for 10 years. So I'm like learning like I knew how to hit left-handed, but I'm learning how to do that primarily. And like I'm gonna fail more because I can't place the ball as much. And so it's just like a double whammy of suck. And I took a left turn at Suckville and it was terrible. And
Tuckville.
then
I love that.
I got back and then I went to the trainer and I was like, yeah, this is pretty bad. People are gonna notice this one. And so
So, okay, so
mhm,
let's kind of figure this out now, because this is really my point to this, because
mhm,
I also tore my hamstrings and my
mhm.
quads, and I had those
Ugh.
rubber hot socks that you put over your thigh,
Yeah.
and then I would put athletic tape around them,
So when,
Mhm.
yeah,
so they wouldn't expand or whatever. And
Yeah,
then
so
yeah.
you couldn't feel it either. Yeah.
so I ran like I had something stuck up my butt crack, but I mean but I had to play.
There
I
was one time I got, those like heating like hand warmers. I
yeah,
put that in my compression shorts.
yeah.
Oh
I
So
my
mean
it would just
God,
stay
that
warm.
Alyssa.
yeah. So that's exactly what I'm saying. That's exact. So I had these rubber heat sock. They're like a size too small, and I'm yanking them over my freaking thighs because I had to play.
Hopefully you didn't have to go
There's
to the
no way to keep
bathroom.
me out of the game. Not happening, right? So because of that, you didn't heal correctly, or you didn't heal as
Hmm.
fast as you should. So
Yeah.
instead of missing what 2 or 3 weeks, 6 weeks, 4 weeks, what happened? Talk us
So
now. After
yeah, so initially I think they told me they're like, yeah, I think like a month would be a good time frame. And I was like, there is no chance. I'm not missing a month of my last few months of ever playing softball again. I'm not doing that. So I was like, I convinced myself, I was like, okay, let's do like 2 weeks. So we like, I think it was like 2 weeks. I'm off on the time frame, I'm sure a little bit. But and then I came back and I was like, I remember this distinctly. They're like, okay, you can play 2 out of the 4 games this weekend. And I remember I was like, okay, whatever. That's better than nothing. But I get there and then I'm just like crushing it. I was like, I put me in the game, keep me in. I'm totally completely fine. I was like, I am like I'm the goat actually. Like no. And so I remember I played extra. And because I remember I told Tommy I was
That
like, no,
was
I'm
not
fine.
my
Like
call, by the way.
I
That
was
was
like,
not
I'm
my call.
completely fine. I was like, I'm completely fine. Like
Yeah.
they're just playing it safe. It's fine. And then that really set me back. And then
what do you mean
just
by that?
kept so it really, I think if I would have actually listened, I actually still have some right hamstring weakness now. And it's been like since February. So it's almost been like what, 10 months? And so honestly, like I just think I seriously damaged it because I really didn't listen and I would just like keep pushing it and keep pushing it. And I think there's no answer sometimes to an injury except rest. And I think it's really hard. And mentally, I was like, I'm the word I'm looking for, being a baby. I literally convinced myself, I was like, if I don't play, I'm being a baby because strong people push through hard things. And to me, like this was a hard thing. And I think it's really hard because we're taught from a young age, if you want to be competitive, you need to push through the suck. And there's a difference between pushing through the suck and pushing through the unpushable. And sometimes injuries are you can't push through those. Like if you don't have a functioning hamstring, how are you supposed to run? If you break your hand, how are you supposed to throw a ball? And so there's just some
You're
things.
prolonging your career. I
Absolutely.
mean, and
Yeah.
that's my whole point to this is, you hurt yourself doing the right thing, by sitting out and getting healthier, right? Could
Hmm.
have saved you so you could have played more games,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But this is your path. We've talked about that
Hmm.
before. Your
Hmm.
path is your path, right?
Hmm.
So no regrets.
I do, and it's hard because I think I do regret it a little bit. But going back, I have to. I mean, everything's always hindsight's always 2020. But like going back, I try to remember, to be like bluntly, and I think it's important to state this that people realize this is like there's so many different things going through your head as you're trying to decide what you want to do, especially in an injury. Like I'm like I need to get healthy. I want to play the best of my ability, but I don't want someone to take my spot. And then you feel selfish because you're like I want my teammates to excel, but I don't want them to excel more than me. And so it's just this mind game of you're like and then you're like I'm a terrible person for not wanting my teammates to succeed, and it's not that. It's just
Don't
it's
want to lose
you
their
feel a
spot.
little
Nobody wants to lose their spot.
exactly. Yeah.
A lot of
Yeah.
people lose their spots because of injuries.
Hmm.
Yeah, it
And
happens all the
that's a
time.
really tough thing. And
Yeah.
I remember that's one of those things you have literally no control over it. And I remember Tommy
Yeah.
telling me that. I was like, but I want to have control over it. It sucks. And I like resented you for that. I was like, what? This is ridiculous. It's not my fault. I didn't do this. But a lot of times in life, nothing is your fault and things just
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
And so
So
that's one of those things.
yeah. So
Yeah.
Alyssa, let's talk about 20. That happened when you were 21 or 22.
21. I turned 22 after I graduated.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you talking to your 21-year-old self today, let's say it's another person, and,
Hmm.
and they come up to you and Coach Tommy said, "Listen, I got somebody for you to talk to. Same injury, same everything. What do you tell them?"
I think the biggest thing, I think it's person to person. And honestly, at the end of the day, I would probably have a sit down conversation with them and be like, at the end of the day, it's your decision. And the decision you choose is going to have repercussions, whether those are positive or whether they're negative. And each decision you make, whether to like obviously there's more than one or two decisions, but whether you play or not play, whether you take time or you don't, you're going to have positive and negatives with both. If you sit out, you're going to obviously feel pretty crappy while you're watching your team succeed without you, and you're going to miss it, and you're going to have all of these feelings of what if I never get back to where I was? What if I never get my spot again? But if you play through it, you could seriously injure yourself more, and you could take yourself out of the game forever, and you're never going to come back. And so I think it comes down to what that person wants and what they want. I mean, not to be dramatic, but what they want their life to look like. Because at the end of the day, it's their decision, and you have to live with the decisions you make. And I could give my input and be like, I did the wrong thing. I really did. I didn't handle it how I think it was correctly. But I do think that it's important that people have their own choices. And obviously, losing your athletic trainers, I didn't, and it was dumb. I admit it. Especially going to be a healthcare professional, I feel pretty hypocritical, but but it's okay.
Especially when they hear this podcast, they're gonna say, "What'd
Yeah,
you
they'd be like,
say?
excuse me.
PA? Well, you just
Yeah, literally. And I think it's just important that people make their own decisions, but you also need to know that those decisions carry weight, and it's one thing or the other. It's going to be sucky either way.
yes." So again, kind of revisiting this one more time. Knowing what you know now, right?
Hmm.
Being able to get healed and play more games and play at 100% and everything else. What would you tell that person? Would you tell them, "Hey, listen, this would happen to me. I wish I would have done this," or would you just said, "Hey, it's your decision. Figure it out."
I think I would really strongly recommend that, they listen. And I think it would be if I was, close to this person, I think it'd be important that they have the support that they need. And I would tell them it is very important. Like, let's say they were a senior like me, or whether they weren't, to say it was the beginning of the season, and I really, really had a good chance that I was going to recover fully by the end of the season and be able to play for the last month of the season completely healed. But instead, I was like 75% the whole season, or I was like
Your
less and I did better.
75% is better than most people 100. I mean, yes.
But mentally, my 75%, I felt like I was like, why am I playing like I'm 16 right now?
Yeah.
So it
Well,
just
let me
was
ask
really
you.
unfortunate.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. This isn't for me to get a pat on the back or anything. Did that help by talking to somebody else besides Coach Tommy?
Yeah. I think it was also important too to sorry, can't speak apparently. I think it was also important to revisit the conversation and have a conversation with somebody who's removed from the situation and doesn't really have any ties to you. And so, like, obviously, people that know me and people that are in my situation, they want me to be happiest. And, like, they want to do in that moment what's going to make me the happiest. But other people can see the situation and they can see every point of view that's not completely, subjective to me. And I think that that's important too, just to get another point of view. Like if I were, like you were bringing up that conversation, if I were to talk to somebody else, I would say this was my situation and this really seriously hurt me and harmed me as a player, and I never got back to where I was. And it's a little devastating to think about that I never was able to play the how I wanted to. That's not how I wanted to end. And at the end of the day, like I have to live with that, and I regret it. I do, and I wish that I could have said that I was playing 100% when I was done, but I can't because of the decisions that I made. And I think that that's what I would say is at the end of the day, it's going to suck, but it's either going to suck for a month and then you can play the best that you can and you'll regret that. You'll be sad a little bit, but now I have to live the rest of my life being like, dang, I don't know what I could have been. I don't know. And
So
it's life and we don't get to change it, but that's what it
it's
is.
etched in stone now, right? It is what it is.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Can't second guess
Yeah.
yourself. But what we call regrets all the time is
Mhm.
that probably your only regret in your 4 years, or do you have any
No,
supersede that?
no. I'm sure. So let's think about it. Regrets I have.
I think it supersedes that at all. Give me one regret that you're like, damn it. If
Over
I
that? Do you have any over that?
I don't know. I think I'm trying to think.
don't hurt yourself.
In my 4 years, there's one that I don't regret. The decision that I really don't regret.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking
okay.
about if you had any regret in your 4 years, what would it be?
I don't know if one is bigger than that. I really don't know. I try to I try to think about my decisions so I don't regret them.
I know one for her. I know.
Oh God, what?
She kept telling me that she just wants to slap it. I'm like, you can swing it too. And all of a sudden she got some jackitis and then it changed everything. And I'm like, wait a minute, let's not let go of the slapping yet.
Yeah. I think one regret that I would have, I mean, not to be like general and just be like, oh, whatever, it's hard on myself, but a regret I have is that I was never ever good enough for myself. And while a little bit of that is good, a lot of that is really bad. And I would literally lay awake at night and be like, I suck, I'm horrible. And now looking back at it, I'm like, Alyssa, like you literally accomplished more than you ever thought you could. And I was like, and you never were able to appreciate that. And like, how good of a player could I have been if I appreciated how good I was on top of actually being good? And so I think that like it's hard because we don't want to be boastful, but at the same time, we have to. I remember when I was a senior, I talk about it like it was like 10 years ago, like a few months ago. I would talk to my dad and I'm like, I wish I could celebrate the highs as much as I like relish in the lows. I wish that they would equate, like the emotions would be the same, because when you achieve something and like you're really hard on yourself, but when you do good, it's just like normal because that's like what you think that you're supposed to be at. But when you when you do low, you're like, the world is falling on me.
Chicken Little.
That's just the sport. And that's honestly, we beat ourselves up, especially when we're better than we are. You know what I mean? Like we're putting ourselves under a different, microscope than other players maybe. And like, I'm not going to be satisfied with hitting 320.
Yeah.
When most people are going to have, if they hit 320, they're going to be ecstatic, right? I've always been that type of player where
I think all of us in this
I'm going to tell you
podcast are that way.
I'm going to tell you this right now. This is no joke. I hit a ball out of the park and I would come in pissed off. And everybody's like, what the hell's wrong with you? I'm like, I got sawed off. And they're like, you got sawed off and you still hit that like 360? And I was like, yeah,
it must be nice.
I'm better than you, right? But I would get so mad.
Yeah.
That's that one right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So but that's one of my regrets is not enjoying the game that I should have enjoyed.
Yeah.
Because I was so angry all the time at myself for not being perfect.
100%. And I remember there was a game. It was Meg. We were at, I don't remember where, I think we were at Mount Marty, and I literally was hitting like 4 for 4 on the day. And I was so mad. I was like, God dang it, this is stupid. And I was like, I can't hit a ball on the grass. And Meg was like, how many times have you gotten on base, dude? What's your batting average today? And I was like, I don't know. She goes, 4 for 4. It was 4 for 4. I was like, and she goes, I'm 0 for 4. Shut up. I was like,
I'm like, you owe me a milkshake. I'm 4 for 4.
Like, I'm gonna stop
Oh my
complaining now.
Lord. All right.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, again, I that's why we kind of changed it up a little bit because I totally forgot about your injury, and I think more athletes
Hmm.
need to hear that. They need to hear
Yeah.
the other side of that, right?
Hmm.
And then
Hmm.
the mental piece that really, I mean, it's bad enough that it's such a fallible sport that we beat ourselves
Yeah.
up every day, like lie awake at night going, why the hell did I swing at that pitch like?
Yeah. And you're
Kidding
like,
me?
and now you go to like, I think we think about it too much, and we're like, man, life would be so much different if I hit that ball and I got a double. And I'm like, in the end of the day, really? Would it
Well,
really?
right, that's right. I mean, you miss 100 swings you don't take, right?
Hmm.
And that's again, that's we have to get through that. But let's start our questions again. So, but I appreciate you kind of
And
Hmm.
that's a great topic to talk
that's
about. I'm glad that you talked about that, Alyssa. It's
yeah,
big. It's big.
it's
Yeah.
big time. That's big time. So, all right, T, I'll let you since this is your player. I'll let you go first.
Oh, I gotta go first this time? Holy
Only
crap.
once. You better hurry up, Ron.
Here we go. All
You
right.
better.
So kind of what I already kind of asked this a little bit, but it's kind of like a three-part question. So
No,
what
you can't get three questions.
yeah, I can. I'm doing it. It's my ex-player. I'm doing it. All right. So what do you miss about the game? Would you ever want to give back to this game one day? And why?
One question at a time, Tommy.
It's all
Okay.
one question. It was all in one sentence.
I took an
Thanks
exam
for
this
right
morning. I
now.
don't know how. Okay. All right. So, what do I miss most about the game? I think what I miss most about the game is that, oh God, there's a lot of things. The big thing that strikes out to me is honestly just having constant success. And like always, this is kind of a weird take on it, but I'm just now thinking about it. Like with softball, you always know that like to some extent you're going to do something right. Like, okay, like I'm gonna this is weird for me to explain, but I'll explain it a little bit. Obviously, you're going to fail, but you also know that like you're going to have those highs. You know that if you push through, you're going to have those good things. And like you're going to get on base if you just keep pushing through. And I miss just like doing good and being appreciated for being good. Because now in the real life, you do good and they're like,
Yeah.
perfect. And versus softball, you got everyone standing and clapping, you get a standing ovation, and people are screaming, and I have cheers that are just for me. Nobody does that now. And so
Right?
I just miss kind of like the constant love surrounding me. And not that I'm like lonely and I don't have anybody that loves me anymore, but like I just miss being able to kind of every single day I felt appreciated, and every single day I had 30 people that I knew would be there for me. And while like those people are still there, it's different seeing them every single day, and I miss all the people. And I mean that's what everybody says. So I don't want to be like everybody else, but I do, and it is true because you do really miss the people. And that's something that people miss out if they don't play college athletics, is they just don't understand that bond that you'll have with those people. You just go through so many things with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Camaraderie then that you miss?
Hmm?
Would you say it's the camaraderie that you miss?
Yeah. I think a big part is like just I miss honestly just the love that everybody else would show for everybody. And like at the end of the day, obviously like you're competing for spots, but nobody ever wishes bad on you. Nobody on your team.
No.
Because at the end of the day, if they did, they wouldn't be on the team anymore.
Or
So
they wouldn't be a friend.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So like the people that you surround yourself with, they truly want what's best for you and they truly want you to succeed. And I feel like kind of in life, it's kind of like people are piranhas. They like want you to fail. And so like they want to be better than you versus like softball. I think of course there's times where other people like you they want to succeed personally, and but it's just I want like you want the person next to you to succeed almost worse than you do. Like I remember there'd be times where I'm watching a teammate hit. I couldn't even look. I literally would look through like this as if that made a difference. But I would look like this. I'm like, I can't watch because I wanted them to do good so bad. And I miss being a part of that. Like going back to our first game, it just didn't feel the same. I didn't feel that same connection because I don't know how hard they work every single day. And like I miss being able to see people reap the benefits of like the hard work that they put in. And like that's a big thing is like I would see like not to call her out, but like Peyton, I love Peyton. She's my best friend. And I would see her work so hard every single day that like if I would see her pop up, I know she's gonna be mad. I know that like she's working so hard to not do that. I'm like, God, I just want you to succeed so bad. And like I might have just struck out, but I wanted her to succeed more than I care about me. And that's what I miss the most is just kind of like feeling appreciated, which sounds sad, but I don't mean it to be sad.
No, no, no. I mean, I believe Coach Tom, your Coach Tom, I believe Tommy feels the same way. We miss the camaraderie. We miss the
Mhm.
dugout talk. You know what I mean? We miss hanging out with our teammates at lunch and doing this and talking about this and having our successes together and our wins and our losses together and all that stuff. And it all matters, man. And I don't know. It's to me, camaraderie it literally is it for sure.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
that's just me. So
Would
Yeah,
you
and I
would
think
you want oh go on, sorry.
oh, give back the other question that I totally
Yeah,
forgot about.
would you want to give back at some point? I know you want to
Yeah,
be in the big time medical field and all that, and
I still
obviously,
want to be a person. I still want to be a
yeah,
person. So I think right now it's good for me to have a little bit of a break just to kind of appreciate the game from a different aspect.
yeah.
Um, and especially it's kind of nice I have this. I wouldn't be able to do anything while I'm in PA school. But I've held a few camps and it's really been awesome because you get to teach people and kind of be the leader that you needed when you were younger. And like that's what I think I want to. Maybe I don't know if I'm gonna coach. I really don't know. That's pretty inclusive, and I worry that I wouldn't be a good one because I've had some pretty crap ones growing up. Not you, of course. Um, but I think just being the person that you needed when you're growing up to be able to help you through those things and just know what you struggled with and be able to kind of be the person that your coaches weren't and be the person that your leaders weren't. And I think that's really something that's important to me is to help. I mean, not even just in softball, but life, just help them with things that people don't think about. And like but I feel like when I was growing up, a lot of it was again that same like just push through versus like now we're kind of transitioning to like you can push through, but here are some better ways to push through, and we can help you push through these things. And you're going to be a better athlete and a better person if you process these emotions or process these things you're going through, and then you go. Because it's really hard to, process through emotions or bottle them up and keep boil or push them down and play a softball game. So I think it's really important to me, and I really do want to give back and be the person that younger me needed.
Sure.
Or yeah.
Absolutely.
all
Tony?
right. Yep. So my question to you is kind of a two-parter as well.
Oh man.
Not a six.
Hypocrite! Hypocrite!
Hey, no, I didn't say a six-parter. This guy had like a six-parter.
I'm glad you can count.
The number just
Jesus.
keeps
Hey,
going
don't
up.
be
I know.
ganging up on me now. This is ridiculous. What the heck's going on here?
Us South Dakota have to stick together.
He ain't from South Dakota. Don't give him that. Don't
I am now.
All right. So, what was your recruiting? So I want to know too personally, but what was the recruiting, your exposure like in the Midwest?
Yeah, I think it's a lot different than like kind of what you guys are used to. So I remember talking to my teammates, and we have teammates from all over the place, and I feel like every single tournament that they would go to, it was always like a showcase, or there were like 5 college coaches there. And I'm like, that's crazy because I went to like 2 growing up and they were all in the same place. And there was like 3 college coaches, and not one of them was a D1 coach. And I think a lot of the thing is like getting recruited. Obviously, everybody wants to go D1. And I think it's either like D1 or done. Like you don't want to do it. And so I think getting recruited is a lot of like you need to be open and you need to realize that you're going to be placed exactly where you need to be. And in the Midwest, I think it was really hard for me to like accept that it's really hard to get exposure because first of all, like you said, like I think what was your percentage of the schools that were on the West Coast? Like
Yeah,
85 or something?
85%.
85%.
15% on the West Coast, 85 are East Coast. I mean,
Oh,
East.
okay. Yeah. And like I just feel like in the Midwest, there's like no schools.
They
Like
are there.
literally none.
Yeah, they're there, but they just
Yeah. They're just
you just said it though. You go to they're talking about camps and there's 5 college coaches
Mm-hmm.
out of 1,500 colleges.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's just so different.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think I remember I went to this one. It's really important. I think I know Tommy said it before too, like go to college camps and stuff because you're just not gonna get that exposure. You're not. And it's hard. I know obviously there's like a financial aspect to it and there's just like all these ties and you have to find time to do it, but it's really important that like you reach out. And it might seem like I remember feeling like I was like, am I desperate? Like it's like you're like begging for somebody to go to prom with you. Like
Yeah.
it's really important that you reach out and you show your interest because otherwise they don't know you exist. And it's nothing personal. It's not that you suck or you're not good enough. It's just that they literally don't know that you're a person and that you are this good. And I think that was for me a big thing is I was like, why do I suck? Why does nobody want me? And it wasn't that I wasn't good enough. It was just that I just hadn't nobody knew I was there. And so
Nobody knows
I remember
you exist. Yep, nobody knows you exist.
exactly just sending ample emails and finally like receiving a response. And I'm like, praise God. because like all at that point, all you want to do is you just want to play college softball. All you want to do is play your sport and continue for the
Sure.
next 4 years. And then just another aspect to it, not that this is part of the question, but just adding to it, I think a big thing is like you need to figure out or you need to be open, like I said that before, but you need to be open and realizing that different colleges have different strengths. And like I know that like obviously everybody wants to go D1 because who doesn't? I'm like people will be like, I'm gonna raise D1 babies. Like it's just like a joke. It's an ongoing joke. And I think it's a big common misconception, but there's D1 athletes at every single level. And there is great
Oh, yeah.
athletes at every
Absolutely.
single level. And it's
100%.
not like obviously like they're ranked for a reason and like they have their separations, but you're going to find those amazing athletes at every single level. But at every single level, they have their different strengths. And even thinking back, I know that I would not be where I am today had I not gone to an NAIA school and had I not gone to Dakota Wesleyan. Had I gone to like a big state school, I wouldn't have been able to major in what I majored in. I wouldn't be in PA school right now doing what I want to do. And I think it's just important to realize that every school has different strengths and it's not just one aspect. You need to think of all the different things. Sure, this might be where you can play the highest level of softball, but are you going to actually play? Are you going to sit the bench? Are you going to all of these things? And then another aspect is like, okay, if I go to this little bit smaller school, I'm going to get probably, a different level of education. I might be able, because I know a lot of D1 schools, you can't even major in nursing.
No
Like
way.
No way
Yeah,
in
there's no
hell.
way.
you can't do that. And so like, are you actually, because at the end of the day, like softball, you're not going to play professionally. And like, it's getting a little better, but you're not going to play professionally. And so you need
100%.
to figure out what school is going to get you to play softball, but also in 4 years, the life that you want to live for the rest of your life. Because that's the big thing. And obviously you want to find a school that can give you the biggest like life lessons and contribute the most to your life as a whole holistically and not just give you the best level of softball. And I think you just need to be open. And that's something that I had no idea what it's about. I remember like when I started like the recruitment process, I think like people had just started like posting, like Twitter was a big thing for like recruiting. And I remember I was like, this is embarrassing. Like I don't want my reels out there of me doing this. Like this is what am I doing? But I think it's really harder. It's hard everywhere to get recruited. And I can only speak on the experience from the Midwest, but I just know it's just so scarce. So many
Okay.
people just like aren't there.
Okay. So that's the last part of that question is how did you get recruited? I want to know. You've already kind of alluded to it a little bit by reaching out and stuff like that and finding that marriage or finding that, hey, somebody actually wants me.
Yeah, the
How
connection
did
piece.
you,
Yeah.
yeah, how did you actually get recruited?
Yeah, so the coach
Or
I
did
got
you walk
recruited.
on? I don't know.
Mm,
I still
yeah,
don't.
so I think I was, oh god, I don't remember. I was a junior, maybe it was the summer between my junior and senior year, and I'd been in talks with like I literally think there was like two colleges. I don't even oh no, yeah, there was two. There was one in Minnesota, and I went there on a visit, and they were like, "We want you to skip the last half of your senior year and come be a pitcher for us." And I was like, first of all, I'm glad I didn't because that would have been COVID. But the second thing
Um,
is they were like, yeah, it gets to like we have tunnels underground because it gets to negative 55. I said, no, I'm not going there. I literally turned to my mom in a minute. I said, we can leave now. We're done. And that's just like going back to the fit thing. But I remember I had emailed a bunch of college coaches and Dakota Wesleyan reached back out and they're like, okay, like we're going to be at this tournament that you guys are at. And then they had one of a GA came, or she wasn't even GA. She was going to be their GA. So this person hadn't even met the head coach yet, but she was recruiting me. So it was a very strange situation. And she introduced herself, and then um, he's like, I didn't even know that you could pitch. And I was like, yeah, I kind of wanted to keep that a secret. So, but then we started talking and chatting and everything. And then throughout the year, they just kept watching me throughout the summer. And then eventually they're like, okay, like we want to offer you. And so then they offered me. And I remember just like being like, I don't know. Like, I'm really unsure about it. I really don't know. I'm just like holding off maybe, whatever. And then at the end of the day, I was just like, I like to kind of keep under the radar with like big decisions because it just like overwhelms me. I remember I literally texted and I was like, okay, I'll do it. I was like,
okay, I'll
I'd
do
like
it.
to.
Okay, you got me. All right.
I was like, all right.
Fine.
And yeah. And then I think I did call him, but, and then I told my parents, I was like, yeah, I committed. So then we
Nice.
did the whole signing day ceremony and whatever. But then that coach actually ended up retiring that year. So I had a whole
Oh,
brand new
no.
coach. Yeah. He was like, he called us, I remember July 20th. And I was supposed to go to school in like 2 weeks. He called me, leaves a voicemail. I'm retiring. I said, that's terrible news. And then I
Yeah,
still ended up going there. It
yeah.
ended up being
Well,
the best decision ever.
And I'm glad you did, actually. And I want to talk to you. It's not part of my question, but because you've already talked about it a little bit, Tommy will appreciate this too. Something that when we're out recruiting and we're talking to these players, one of the big things is we say to these guys, because listen, they don't understand that everybody wants that D1 dream, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the top, what, 3, 4, 5% maybe.
Yeah. If that, yeah.
And they over recruit like a mother anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And then only 1% are going to get on the field. So if you truly think that you're the 1% and you can do it, do it. Go kick ass and enjoy it. But we say this for people like you, or go to an NAIA school, right? Or JUCO or whatever, and go break records, right? Go break records.
Mm-hmm.
My son went to D1 level. He went D1. And he was like, Dad, and he got redshirted, right? And he's like, I'm behind a freshman All-American, D1. I don't know if I'm going to get on the field anytime soon, right? And he's like, I'm out, right? Then he went to a JUCO, and then he went to an NAIA and broke records.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm saying. And that's sometimes I think people look at Tommy like we're full of shit, and we're like, we're not lying to you guys, right? We would not misguide you in any way.
We're not saying you can't play D1 or you shouldn't.
Yeah,
I mean, you have to know what you are and what you're not, right?
And I'm telling you right now, we played some NAIA school. I mean, there are some NAIA schools out there that beat the brakes off some D1 schools. There's some JUCOs.
I played them.
Yeah, there's some JUCOs that would beat the brakes off some freaking D1s. So you know what? Like you said earlier, there's D1 players at every level. There's studs everywhere, right? The thing is that are you going to go play? Are you going to be on the field? And are you going to break records? That's the school you should go to.
And another thing, are you going to enjoy your life there?
And then, you can enjoy 4 years. Tommy and I talked. We had a little podcast about food because my oldest transferred from an NAIA to a D2, and the food was freaking horrible. Like, I can't believe he ate it. I was shocked, and he was asking me for money all the time. But I mean, you're going to be there for 4 years. You better.
That's a long time. Yeah.
You better enjoy the food. You better enjoy the coach. You better enjoy the professors. You better enjoy that climate.
It's all peace.
And it's a big thing. And of course, like I remember when recruits would come, and it's hard because you don't want to like just sugarcoat everything, but you don't want to be harsh at the same time. You don't want to be like, it's the winters, they're terrible.
You don't want to talk
you don't want to just like,
you
don't want to lie, but it's important to kind of like I was talking about, like being the person that you needed. I wish there were some things that would have been said to me, and that wouldn't have turned me away from the school, but it would have just like opened my eyes. So then I wouldn't have been caught off guard. Like I didn't know that we did this whole big school-wide service project on a random day. Like that's just such a minuscule thing, but it's just things that are specific for each school, and you don't learn that because they just want to like kind of keep it hush hush, but not even necessarily that they're bad, but it's just like being open and just being like humane about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, we went a little left on that, but you keep bringing up these things that I think it's so important for our kids to hear. I mean, it's important.
I'm a certified yapper. I can bring up whatever.
You got a PhD in that shit. Are you kidding me right now?
Yeah.
All right.
Here's my plaque. Yeah.
On a side note, it's funny. I just texted her not too long ago because she's known for two things for me. One is there's always crumbs in my office.
Oh no!
Always.
Are you the Cookie Monster?
I don't know, but I'll look down and be like, "You guys, really?"
Yeah, and I don't even think I do it. I think it's a fault of mine. Ken says I'm a pathological liar, and I leave crumbs.
Okay, so let's ask your husband. Are you the one that leaves the crumbs behind?
Honestly, especially with me being in school, he definitely cleans the house more. He's a better housewife than myself.
I do it too, so don't worry about it.
It's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Am I up next? All right. Next question.
Third person now.
Whatever, man. You talked for like 40 minutes, bro. Jesus.
Yeah,
all right. What did it take to be a top student athlete and be the best player at DW? What did it take to do that?
Personally, I don't know because that's not me.
It is.
Hold on. That's a loaded question. I really want you to think about that because, that could mean a lot of things, right? But we're talking about you right now and the success that you had and everything. Like, what did it take? Because I don't think a lot of
I said student athlete too, right? I mean,
Well, yeah,
there's two sides to that, right? And you were a very good student,
but
very good.
that's you listen, if you're not in a D1 or a D2, you're a student first, athlete second.
Hmm.
At those schools, you're an athlete first, right? So we're talking about a student athlete. So yeah, hit us hard on that one because this is going to be interesting.
Man. So I think a lot of it was I had talked about it earlier, and I always say I remember when I'm in like an interview, this is what I'll say my weakness is, which is so cliche, but being completely like being honest and a little bit too much of it is bad, but a little bit of it is good is like never feeling good enough. And that sounds terrible when I put it that way, but never being satisfied would be a much better way to say it. Never being satisfied. I'm not satisfied.
Though?
Yes,
So you're that
absolutely.
your whole life with everything.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah. Like I will
Don't
get
mind.
this
I got
I'll
text
get this
messages to prove it.
Oh no.
I remember, so I'll be honest, and it'll help, prove the point. I don't like to talk about this, but whatever. I got two B's my entire college career, and I remember hating myself because of it. I was like, God, this is terrible. I was like, I've tarnished the perfection. This is ridiculous. This
Did
is
you blame the
stupid.
professor?
No, it was my fault. I didn't know how to take the exams. I
Uh,
didn't. I wasn't great at it, and they were both when I was a freshman.
uh,
So whatever.
you had the
Freshmen are
yips. Hey, we'll just call
yeah.
it the yips.
Oh, I've had the yips before. I don't think that's
Yips.
and I think it's just like never being satisfied, and it sucks because like, and I still have it, and that's why I'm on anxiety medication. But like, it
Yeah.
sucks because you never feel good enough, and like, but that drive to like never feel satisfied and always strive for more. That's kind of what gives you like, I'll say like the upper hand of like being more successful than your average person because they're satisfied with mid level. And if you're striving for mid level and you achieve a little bit less, then you're like, okay, a little bummed, but that's fine. But if you strive for high level and you achieve a little bit less, that's still substantially higher than like only striving for low. And I think a big thing for me is I always like a lot of people like they'll calculate. There's this thing on like Canvas, which is what we use, like most schools use. You can calculate what lowest grade you need in order to keep your grade. And I'm like, you guys are crazy. Like I strive for 100 every single time. Like I'll get mad.
Man, if
Like I
I did,
remember
yeah.
I'll get like a 96 and I'm like, what are the three questions I got wrong? Or the four questions I got wrong? And I think like and I hate talking about this, but like not to be boastful, but it's just like if for me, in my experience, in order to succeed and do those things, can you hear me? Did my AirPods just go out?
Yeah, no,
You
I
can
hear
hear
you.
me? Okay. In order to succeed, I needed to always strive to do better than I knew that I could. And
Yeah.
and it's not comparing yourself to others. And of course you'll have those times where you do, and I do as well. But you need to compare yourself to who you want to be and who you are being at this point in time. And if who you want to be isn't on the path that you're on right now, like something needs to change. And it causes a lot of like strife, like a lot of like personal, like, oh my gosh, like come to Jesus moments. Like, I'm not going to be good enough. I'm not doing these things that I want to do. But in order to be as successful as I have, and that's so weird to talk about because I don't think I'm successful right now, but it's like, in order to achieve the success that I have, I think it comes a lot with being honest about the failures and realizing that they're going to happen, and you're going to make mistakes. You're growing up, you're becoming, even when you're an adult, you're still growing up and you're doing life for the first time, and you have to figure out how to do things. You have to figure out how your brain works, how your body works, how you're going to be as successful as you possibly can, and utilizing your strengths as well. Sorry, I'm going on a rampage of this answer, but like just being yourself and embracing yourself, a big thing for me. And I've talked to Tommy a lot about this. Never hitting a home run in my career was devastating. And like I know I'm a good athlete. I know I'm athletic and successful, but like that was something like, you play softball, of course you hit home runs, of course. I'm like, I actually don't. That means I suck. But
But
just
you did it a couple. You actually get a lot of practice. You
yes,
get a
and
lot of
that's the
practice.
stupid part. Stupid. Don't remind me. Don't remind me.
Okay, so
Uh,
you want the home run hitter. Who cares, right? That's just
yeah.
a part of the game.
And like going back to like, you have to acknowledge your strengths. My strengths were not power hitting. I was a scrawny little kid. And so I learned how to slap. And then that became who I was. I learned how to run fast. I could outsmart people on the base paths. I was sneaky. I played on my strengths versus like other people, their strengths might be strong hitting and their strengths aren't speed, and like just playing on those strengths and you know being successful isn't a cookie cutter. You're going to be successful in everything. That's why there's so many different jobs in the world. Everybody's good at different things. And I think just playing on your strengths and getting better at those and like obviously like working on other stuff, but like really harnessing in on what your strengths are and just kind of letting go the other things that you think you should be good at is a big thing.
So I would say to you, and this is in life too, but if you have your hands in the pot and you're good at a lot of things, that's that's why, right? If you need to focus on the things, like the 3 or 4 things, and be a freaking stud at those
Hmm.
3 or 4 things, right? Because sometimes we spread ourselves thin. We want to be a power hitter. We want to be a slapper. We want to be a defensive, gem. We want to be this, run. If I'm not fast, I can be sneaky. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So I'm not gonna have to prove it to you. So, all that good stuff. But again, those are some good things. So it's cool that you're talking about these things again. They come up all the time.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so all right, my question's next. All right, I'm gonna pick one here because we're kind of running out of time. Um, what recruiting? You already gave that. What's the biggest adjustments you had to make from high school to college, athletically or academically or both?
The big one that comes to mind is that in high school, you can be the stud, but in college, all the studs got recruited to be here. So like
That's
you
so
are you
true.
you are not the best anymore. You're in
Yeah.
a crop of the best. It's
Yeah.
like all the best got picked and now they're here and now you have to compete to be the best of the best. And so like
Yes.
that's the biggest thing is I remember you like you're your senior year, of high school, you're high and mighty, you're the best you've ever been. And you go, you're like, I am alpha. I'm so good. And then you go and you're like, I'm the same as everybody here. Everybody looks like me. And so that's the biggest thing in like the adjustment of being like, man, I have to work harder. Like
That
I
work
I
harder,
have
right?
so much improvement to make. And like you are able to do that obviously if you were able to get recruited and be successful, but it's going to be a grind and you have to realize that like you have problems that you need to fix, you have things you need to work on and just taking the time to do that was important.
How about academically?
Academically, I think in high school, I feel like I just never really studied. And especially like, success for like just kind of it was just okay, let's study the night before and you take an exam
Yeah.
versus like college, especially like in my upper level science courses, you had to like learn every single day. And I think especially right now, I'm like really into like how to study the best, like what's the most effective way of studying. But there's like this study that says you're 50% more likely to do better on an exam if you read your notes within 24 hours of like listening to the lecture or something. And so I think just like constantly staying on top of work was important versus like because there'll be times where you'll get three tests a semester, and a semester is like what 5 months, 4 months, something like that. And like so that means like a month and a half of information is on one exam. If you wait those 4 weeks leading up to the exam and then you're like, I have 5 days to learn 4 weeks of information, you're kind of done for. So
It's
yeah,
true.
I think that was a
My
big adjustment.
No, it's true. My wife was masterful, and she actually had to help people learn how to study because she just figured it out, right?
Hmm.
And it does. You're absolutely right, especially at that level. So you're at a different level right now. So, all right, T, you're up.
So we kind of talked about this a little bit, but I kind of maybe want to dive into it a little bit more just because I know about you as a hitter a little bit. But um, with softball being such a failing game, what did slapping do for you in your game? I know that you became more of a hitter at the end a little bit, but
Stupid hamstring.
that yeah, there was some there's some different levels to your slapping that we kind of worked on over the 2 years, and I think that
Yeah.
obviously it's something to talk about, and it's something that's a big part of softball right now.
Yeah. I think so. Growing up, like I said, that I was teeny. Like I was so tiny. I didn't break 100 pounds until I was in high school. And like I remember my sister growing up was a slap hitter. And I was like, okay, that's cool. But then my dad was like, I literally, when I tell you I couldn't hit a ball into the grass, I seriously mean it. I was a horrible power hitter. Horrible growing up. And I think I was like 9, which that seems really harsh to say that to a 9-year-old, say that about a 9-year-old, but my dad was like, we should try this. And it was really before I had developed all of the right-handed skills. So it was kind of nice because I just became left-handed hitting. So That was really nice. Because it's really hard to transition to be a slap hitter once you've already done all of the things mechanically right-handed. But it's kind of nice now because I'm a little bit ambidextrous. So that's kind of fun. But I think it's definitely I think like going back to the batting average thing, hitting itself is so hard because you have such little control. There's a circle coming at you, and you're hitting it with a cylinder, and it's like 60 miles per hour from 40 feet away. Like there's so like mathematically, you should not hit the ball. Like it's so hard,
And
and
then
so like you
you got nine other people trying to catch your ball.
exactly
Yeah.
exactly, and you're trying to hit it in between the
Yeah.
fair lines. Like
Yeah.
there's so many things against you.
Yep.
And so like hitting itself, it is so hard to like I would love to know like the statistics of like the chances of someone actually getting a hit. Like just mathematically without any skill or anything,
Well,
because
it's
it's got to be so
700%.
low.
It's 700%, 70%. You're not going to.
Okay, they're gonna say I was like, there's no chance that I had this little shot. It's
But I mean,
700% chance.
that's it, right? Because
Yeah,
if you take out 7 out of 10 times,
yeah,
7 times you're gonna fail. Whether
yeah.
it's a strikeout, a ground out, a pop up, fly out, a foul, whatever. You're
Yeah,
gonna fail 7 out of 10 times.
yeah.
And that's
And
the good ones.
yeah, and like that's literally like there's so many things going against you, and I think it's so hard to hit where there's nobody or like
Mhm.
to get on base. And I think a big thing for me is like with slapping, like you have a lot more control over like where the ball goes, where you move your body, how you're
You're
going
trying
to
to
angle the
place
bat.
it. You're trying to place it, which is
Yes,
different than
exactly.
somebody if they're swinging, right?
Exactly, because hitting, I mean, I could be wrong, whatever, but you're just trying to hit it as hard as you can. And you're
Yeah.
just, I mean, it's really hard to place it. Of course, you can try to hit it to the right side
Yeah.
or the left side of the field, but at the end of the day, like when I was slapping, I'm like, before I hit it, I'm like, I'm hitting over the third baseman's head. And like, I would love to say that I could do that every time, wouldn't we all? But like, there's sometimes it would actually work. And I'm like, I'm so good. But like, you really, you, you really just you have a lot more
It's so
control, and like
funny.
you learn different techniques to hit the ball certain ways, you angle your bat differently, you move your body faster or slower, and you just have a lot more control. And like your whole job, like your only job really as a slapper, get on base, move the people in front of you. And you're not trying to hit a home run, you're not trying to have the most RBIs. It's fun to hit long, I'm not gonna lie. Like I got like long hititis, and I like wanted to hit it as far as I possibly could. But then my batting average went down. Like I don't think it's a coincidence that my batting average got lower when I started hitting instead of slapping. And so I think it's slapping is a lot more control, and I think you have a lot more opportunity to be successful. Not saying, of course, that like it's not hard, because believe me, I did it. It's very hard, but like it's easier to place the ball and get on base. But you have more control over it would be a better, not easier, but you have more control.
Yeah, no, you're
Absolutely.
absolutely right.
Absolutely. All right, bro.
Okay, so give me some recruiting advice for anybody on the West in the Midwest. Just we've already kind of briefly talked about it. That's why
Mm-hmm.
I held off on this, but just like some just recruiting advice, knowing what you know about college, about
Mm-hmm.
location, geographical, smaller college, bigger school, having professors in your life, all those things, a coach. Give me just something to give some recruiting advice to somebody that's a senior in high school, hasn't signed yet, and or even a junior that's really looking for a next step.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, and I kind of already touched on it a little bit, but just be open. There's so many colleges, and like I don't remember, I'm sure a lot of people have said this, but like for every single person that wants to play, there's a college for you. There is
Thank
some
you.
college out there that is
Yes.
perfect for you. And like there's some college that's going to take you. And it's just a matter of finding them. You have to be open, you have to be willing, and you have to be diligent about, taking the proper steps, reaching out, going to camps. And whether that's like going to like it's really hard because a lot of it is kind of dependent on what your team does. And so if your team doesn't go to like these showcase tournaments, you feel like you're missing out on those opportunities. But for me, like I didn't have a lot of showcase opportunities, but I had to really take it upon myself to do that like independently, which it is doable. And I think another big thing is to do your research on like colleges, even like the colleges that want you or like do reach out, make sure that they're going to be a decent fit for you. Because if there's a college and they don't even have the major that you want to major in, well, that's off the table. Like don't play the game with yourself of being like, well, but like maybe I won't want to do that. Because at the
Yeah.
end of the day, you need to have a life, you need to make a living.
Yeah.
You need to do something that well, hopefully you're doing something that you want to do, and you're not going to hate going to work every single day. And
Yeah.
so I think you need to do your research and figure out if these colleges are going to be right for you, because I remember like people say this all the time, but you getting interviewed is that like you're interviewing the school as much as the school's interviewing you. So like
Absolutely.
you need to make sure that you're right for the school and that the school is right for you, because
Yes.
it's a two-way street. Obviously, you feel like you're like, well, no, like I need a school way more than they need me. But at the end of the day, your life's not going to be worth anything in 4 years if you went to a place that you didn't get the degree you wanted. You hated your life for 4 years. It's just a big balance game, and you just have to be open and you have to be honest and being like, man, I really want to go to X, Y, and Z, but either they don't want me or it's not going to be perfect for me. And you just have to make the best decisions for yourself and really just like, talk to your parents and talk to the people that love you and the people that know you, because sometimes like it's easy to be like tunnel vision and be like, no, like this school, they want me. It's great. Like nothing could ever go wrong, and just being like honest and but then on the other hand of it, sorry, my brain is everywhere. On the other hand of it, being appreciative and like being happy and celebrating your successes. So you kind of touched about that a little bit too, is like if the college wants you, that's amazing. What is it? 7% of people go on to play college athletics. That's insane. Doesn't matter
Or
where you're
less.
going. Exactly.
Or
It
less.
doesn't matter if you're going to, if you strive for D1 and now you're going to a JUCO. It literally doesn't matter. Good for you, because majority of people that wanted to did not get to. And that's
Well,
amazing.
yeah, and I think that's kind of what I'm leading this to is, did you have recruiting companies like my company, that College Recruitment, that kind of helped you and worked with you, or could have helped you, or whatever. You made the great
Unfortunately, I
choice.
didn't know they existed.
Okay.
I didn't know they were a thing.
Yeah.
And I really think it could have helped me because I had no idea what I was doing. It was just my dad and me, and nobody we knew really had done this before. Like we knew one other person got recruited to play at the University of Minnesota, and it was literally like I'm pretty sure, could be wrong. I'm to listen to this and it's completely wrong. I'm so sorry, but I'm pretty sure it was like a fluke. They just sent out an email, and for some reason they saw it and they're like, "This is amazing." And then the University of Minnesota, that's the year they went to the Women's College World Series. Was the year that she played for them, and I'm like, "What are the freaking chances?" So like we had her, their dad went and recorded like my recruiting video, and then we just sent it out, but we had no idea what we are doing. No idea. And I mean, it worked out. It worked out great. But I really truly think it would help to have somebody that knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Well,
let's run it back like 6 years.
yeah. Well, Tommy and I are at recruiting. This just happened a couple weekends ago, literally, where we get out to a team and they're six seniors
Yeah.
that haven't signed yet, and they're legit. Like I could have
Wow.
made, I literally, with all the coaches that were out there, all the coaches that we know that we've networked with, I could have made 6 phone calls and placed every one of those
Yeah, they're
girls
pretty
that
good.
day. That day. But
And that just the thing is like you're not bad. They just don't know you exist.
correct.
You're
Yeah.
Absolutely.
just not you're not an you haven't been brought to their attention.
I
Like you
know.
could be the
And
greatest thing to ever happen to their school and they just don't know.
yeah,
100%.
exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. So again, I just, that whole recruiting piece is important. That's kind of another reason why we do this podcast, is to really help these parents kind of understand.
Mm-hmm.
And you being a recent athlete and giving them the kind of the whole skinny on, like you covered everything tonight, right? And I think that's important for these guys to
Hopefully
really,
I was helpful.
well, it's
Yeah.
good coming from you, not just Tommy and I, because
Yeah.
people hear us all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, they're just talking about NAI because they're an NAI. No,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
we're not. We're saying there's divisions out there for everybody.
Yeah.
We're just
Yeah.
saying
And I think it's
there's
important too,
processes.
like I had the other college that I did to where they were a D2. And I was like, man, but I feel like people place like D2 is above NAIA. Like I feel like I have to choose the better college because that's like better. That would mean I'm better. And I'm like, we played them. I'm not going to talk about it, but we played them and we creamed them. We creamed them. And I'm like, I would have been on the receiving end of that. And that's better.
Yeah.
I'm like literally, and I'm a firm believer, and whether people are religious or not, like you end up where you're supposed to end up. You
100%.
always do. Everything
Yeah.
always works out. Everything. Whether you failed an exam, you are 0 for 16, you just feel like life sucks. Everything always works out. You are always put into every situation in order to come out better on the other
Agree.
side.
Yeah.
Tom and I both agree with that, with
Hmm
1,000%. You can be over
And
They'll
April.
build
yeah,
you. They'll
You can
build
be
you.
over April and have the game winner in the World Series of May.
That's all that
yes,
matters.
exactly. And then you were the greatest of all time.
And they never remember that you were over April.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
And
Do I get my last question?
Well, no,
Okay, fine.
because you started it. But nice
All right,
try.
I get my last question. It'll be really easy and quick.
Yeah, he can take it.
You kind of already, yeah, maybe not, maybe not. Maybe I'm looking into this too much. If you could change anything about your 4 years, what would you change?
That's an easy question.
Coaches, coaches.
Man, that
Oh
coach
my
for like the
bad.
last 2 years of my career, he was really short or something. Wish he was. Wish he had more hair.
Oh my God, dude! I have to play that
Thank God,
back.
hey, thank God I have thick skin, man.
Tommy, do you remember that time that you took your hat off and I was like, I forgot that you were bald?
Shit, I'm like, Alyssa, really? I was like, really?
I have a problem with word vomit. I
No,
have
I
no
remember you
filter.
being at my house. I remember you being at my house, and you
Yeah.
three were just like rap, rap, rap. I was like, what the hell did they just say? Tommy. He goes, bro, it's every day.
Oh yeah,
It's all
there.
the time. It's all the
Yeah.
time. I'm a nervous yapper, 100%. 100%. But what I would change, God, that's a hard question.
It is?
Okay. I feel like yeah,
Oh, okay.
because I try to be like content with like things that I can't change because I can't go back. I think what I would
Yeah.
change,
Quit being an
um,
overthinker.
well, yeah, like if I had a magic wand, I would give myself the ability to, instead of feeling anxious and overwhelmed, I would use the ability not like to take the anxiousness away because your body actually doesn't know the difference between excitement and anxiousness. You get the same response. I would allow myself to take that anxiousness and transform it into like an excited like energy in my head, like excited thoughts, like
So you would enjoy
excited.
yourself more.
Oh yeah, yeah. I would
We
like actually
Instead
and
of
we
enjoy
being
my
tried that
pissed at
with
skin.
her.
yourself.
We talked about dancing, music,
I
songs.
would do yoga before the game. I would
Yeah, we
meditate. I would pray. I would do literally anything. I'm sitting here like praying to God. I'm like, please give me anything. I would take a magic pill if it would do that for me. And I think I
Oh, it's
would just,
called Adderall.
yeah, that's illegal. It's that.
yeah, it is.
Um, and I think I would just literally like, because going back now, I'm like, oh, this game is actually pretty fun. And I'm like, wish I felt that when I was playing. And like people, like you'll sit here and you'll tell me, you're like, honestly, I feel like I disassociated a little bit because I'm like just getting through it. Versus like now, you'll tell me you're like people will say all these things and you're like, you were so great, you did all these great things, and I'm like, the whole entire time I thought I sucked and I was the worst thing to ever belong there. Like, and like it's sad to think about that that's what I thought about myself. And so like I guess if I could change it, I would go back and like let myself enjoy it. Whether like if I would give myself the ability to know it's going to be fine and actually feel like that, because there's a difference between being like everything's going to work out, I know it, but like and actually feeling like everything's going to work out. Because
You know,
if I knew when I was 19 that I was going to be here right now and everything was going to be fine, I was going to have full records, everything was going to be fine, I think I would have been a little calmer. I would like to think.
I
well,
swear to God, we had this conversation too. I swear we did.
I'm
yeah.
sure.
And here's the thing. It's what made you who you are today, though, and
Hmm.
it's gonna be who you are in the future
Yeah.
as a wife, as a mother, as a everything. Right? It's
Hmm.
just who you are. It's what
Yeah.
pushes you. I mean,
And
yeah, because I look at myself and I go, I would have enjoyed the game a lot more
hmm
if I wasn't so hard on myself.
hmm
But that's also what pushed me to be great.
and that's
Double
like
edged
what
sword.
helps you be the adult that you are. And like when we were talking about giving back, I really wish that I could go back and change it and actually enjoy it. But now I get the opportunity to let other people enjoy it, to let more people enjoy it. And maybe had I not experienced this is way bigger than softball, but like maybe had I not experienced this,
Yeah,
maybe I wouldn't be able to help these people. Like, and going back like to the life thing, like had my grandma not died when I was 13, maybe I wouldn't be want to be a PA and be in PA school and be able to help all my patients someday. Maybe I wouldn't be able to be such like as good of a person as I am, as kind as I am, if had all these things not happened to me, I wouldn't have that
absolutely.
experience. And
Yes,
so it's just being content. And unfortunately, like you wish you could change some things, but also, like I said, I think you end up where you're supposed to end up. And
without a doubt.
we would all love a perfect life, but
There's
it
no
wouldn't be
such
so
thing.
great if it was perfect all the time.
Yeah.
No such thing. There's no such thing. It's your life. It's your path.
Hmm.
It is your life. It is your path. Right? And
Hmm.
you're the captain of your ship. So you can go left, right, or up the middle. It's up to
Sometimes
you.
that's scary, majority of the time, actually.
It is, but you know what? It's still going to be your path, regardless of
Hmm.
which way you take.
Hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll end it there. We really appreciate it. I know I'm gonna let your coach have the last words here, and then I'll close it out.
That's
But
very nice of you
It
as a
never
big
that's
brother. That's
that
very kind.
never
sarcasm.
happens. Believe me.
Is that well because you
Nobody puts baby in the corner.
I'm just trying to be nice, right? Because normally I gotta beg him to talk, so I'm just trying
Oh
to.
my Lord, that's not the case. Alyssa, is that the case?
I started.
So
I feel like I'm gonna fight. I feel like I'm a younger sibling.
yeah, I'm thinking like you guys are trying to double team me here. This is pissing me off. But anyway, so thank you for taking time out of your PA schedule. You guys PA, she's trying to be a physician's assistant right now. What year are you in? One?
First year.
First
I'm in
year.
the thick of didactic. We're in school. I finished. We've done like over 4 months now, and it's just getting worse by the day.
It's going to wait till you get
But
into
no, if you want it again, I will gladly procrastinate. Gladly.
yeah, no, wait till you get into all the drugs.
Oh yeah, it'll be fun.
Oh yeah,
Love.
that's gonna be crazy. But anyway, you got to spell them correctly too, by the way.
Yeah.
That's what's a nightmare. But anyway,
Yeah.
anyway, I'm gonna just say thank you. Thank you.
Thank
We
you
appreciate
guys.
you popping
Yeah.
on for your busy schedule. Tommy, close it out, Jack.
Yeah, Alyssa, it's been an honor. It's definitely a little different seeing you in a different capacity. We've definitely had some really good opportunities in life and in 2 years of growing and connecting. We've had some laughs for sure, more than once or twice. She's a great co-pilot, by the way, in Florida. She's like one of the best. Can drive you and
Wow.
find you places.
I'm flattered. That's the best thing you've said all night.
Oh.
Well, then let me end with this.
Shots fired or what? What are we talking about here?
Nothing. She knows what I'm talking about.
No, I feel like you would always just yell at me that the GPS was either talking too much or
I
not
was
talking
like,
enough.
no, like it's funny because I don't have an iPhone, so their
That's a
directions are
problem.
always different than my directions, and I swear they're never the same.
Yours always takes the long way.
I know.
But then yours gets us lost.
Uh-huh. It's not the driver, of course.
And exactly. And you know what? His doesn't even speak English.
I feel like yours doesn't even speak. You'll be like, "Oh, can you pull this up, and then you're like trying to like get your phone here, and not the Tommy Texas drives. That's no, but it'll just be like you're trying to look at this thing and it doesn't speak to you, and then I'm like, yeah, that's not the way that mine's saying, but I'm not gonna argue with you.
Yeah.
And then you'll get lost and you'll be like, why didn't you say anything? I'm like, I can't win. I can't win.
But anyway, hey, it's been fun, Alyssa. Great journey, man. It's an honor to be able to talk to one of D-Dub's best softball players of all time. So please take that and say thank you because you are one of them. So
Well,
thank you for
I
being on the
appreciate it.
podcast. You are awesome.
Hopefully soon I'll start to feel that. It'll be good. But yeah. Let me know your schedule and then I'll come as much as I can.
100% would love you to be there.
Yeah.
Yes. It'll be good. I know I gotta watch Ken and Peyton. They're gonna be graduating and being big kids and stuff.
Yeah. Make sure you tell them to
Yeah.
Hey,
not have the yips like you and worry about everybody and everything.
I literally don't think they have the capacity to have the yips. They're just better than me.
No.
They are. Personality wise, they just are. I just
Hey, they're coming to my house this spring.
really.
We're doing the Arizona trip again.
You should trick them. Cut this out of the clip, okay?
Oh,
yeah, that's funny. That's funny.
Pull a prank on them or something. Make your daughter play dead.
Did you guys have fun when you were here?
Yeah, it was really fun. I was just looking like no, iPhones are so cool, so it'll give you random memories. And it just popped up the picture of us in your pool. That was fun.
No way.
Yeah, I did. And I was like, and I
that's
sent it to
cool.
Ken and Peyton. They always text me. They'll be like, "Oh, it's not the same with you here," and I'm like, "Stop it! I'm gonna cry."
Oh.
But then they'll be like, "Yeah, we had practice," and I said, "Don't miss that. Don't miss that."
Oh, that's fun. All
But
right.
it's been good. Yeah, I miss it. So
Yeah, I know. That's again, what a hell of a career. What a hell of a career with an exclamation point. So my hat's off to you, girl. Congrats
thank you.
for great freaking years and you got and some of the best things are just waiting to happen for you right now. So you got your life straight. I think you're doing very well and you're just a competitor, man. And you're gonna kick ass at whatever you do.
Well, thank you. I think anyone who looks like they have their life straight is lying. I think nobody has their life straight. But thank you. I appreciate that it looks like that on
at least you have a map, right? And
yes. At least I have a
all.
GPS that tells me where to go.
That's called a significant other.
Yeah. Kyle knows the directions. He's like, yeah, we're going
Trust me.
north. I'm like, straight forward? That's all I know that north is.
Oh, trust me. But
Oh man,
anyway,
Alyssa,
Alyssa, thanks a million, girl. This
Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate
Good
it.
to see you guys.
Yes,
Yep.
you too. Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy
Yeah,
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving. So
Bye.
this is another edition of the Dugout Talk. This is Tony Downs, this is Tommy Downs, and this is Alyssa Burke, stud softball player. You guys, we'll talk to you soon. Thank you very much.